Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you, talking all about the wrestling news and rumors of today. And basically, nothing really caught my eye other than basically the tweet from Kevin Von Erich talking about his sons, Marshall and Ross, going to WWE. They're going to be going down to the WWE Performance Center. They're going to be trying to get an NXT developmental deal. They have a tryout set out. And these kids are really good wrestlers. I can honestly say that I haven't seen a lot of them, but honestly, who doesn't love the Von Erichs? They first caught my eye at Slammiversary 12 last year in 2014. TNA went on the road. They had a show in Texas, and you can remember this was when really TNA was really starting to backslide. It wasn't yet announced that they were going to be losing their Spike deal, but honestly, I think a lot of the people could see that it was coming. You know, no longer was Bully Ray, no longer was Sting, Hulk Hogan, so many other names had left the company, and they were just this bare bones wrestling company, just sort of barely hanging on to what they once were. The main event of that Slammiversary show was Eric Young against Lashley against Austin Aries in a three-way steel cage match. You can say what you want to say. Some people will say that they loved what was going on at the company at that point, and there's a lot of people out there they're going to say that it just wasn't good wrestling. But honestly, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people will say that when Slammiversary came up and TNA said that this show was going to be held in Texas and it was going to be on the road, I think a lot of people were thinking that you were going to see an empty building, that there was going to be a lot of empty seats, and TNA was basically going to have a show that nobody really cared about, and you weren't going to be able to get involved in the wrestling because there wasn't going to be any crowd response. But I think that a lot can be said about Kevin Von Erich coming into the company, doing a lot of publicity for TNA in the area, and letting a lot of people know that there was going to be a wrestling show that the Von Erichs were going to be a part of. The Von Erichs is a big part of Texas wrestling. Of course, everybody can know about World Class Championship Wrestling, Fritz Von Erich, and the Von Erichs, and of course the Freebirds. They just had this huge feud that ran through there. And if you love Texas, if you love Texas wrestling, there's nothing bigger than the Von Erichs. And these guys coming in, Marshall and Ross, they did a lot of their training over in Japan. They were sort of promoted as this was their TNA debut, and they had a match in the middle of the card against the Bromans. I don't know why Robbie E wasn't a part of it. It was Jesse Goddards and DJZ in there in the ring. I don't know if there was an injury or something that went down, but it was a good match, and the people really loved the Von Erichs. I think a lot of the people were there just to see them wrestle, just to be a part of that crowd. Of course, at the end of it, and it turned out to be a big old smoz, Kevin came running down there, and he started putting the claw on people, and it was a pop like I had never seen before. If you can remember back, I can't remember what year it was, but the Von Erichs had just sort of came back into the company. I think that Vince was buying the World Class Championship, tape library, and I think the Von Erichs were coming in to be a part of the Hall of Fame. I think Kevin was the only one that was there, because I think he's the only living member of the Von Erichs left. But he just was in the crowd of Monday Night Raw, and they announced that he was there, and he just held the claw up, and it was a pop like I had never seen before. The guy didn't need to get in the ring. He didn't need to do anything, and people just came electric for these guys. I don't think that basically the Von Erichs are going to get this response everywhere that they're going to go, but I do think that they're definitely worth a shot at bringing in. I know that definitely tag team wrestling is really lacking in WWE right now. Of course, with the breakup of Stardust and Goldust, with the breakup of Miz and Mizdow, we're left with this bare bones Usos. You get the Matadors, Kid and Cesaro, and I guess you can count the New Day as this sort of all the teams that they have. They already, made a big blunder by passing on the American Wolves, who are now wrestling in TNA. For some reason, they didn't want to have those guys under roster. But easily, you bring these guys into NXT. You got the Lucha Dragons. I don't know if they've made their jump or not, but you got the Ascension, who might as well still be on NXT because they're not really cutting it on the WWE roster as of right now. You've got Kata Murphy, not Cade and Murphy. I'm thinking, every time I see those guys, I think of Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch, and that's why I mess them up. But, you know, you've got the good start of a tag team division. You know, if you get the tag teams in developmental, then you get them on the main roster. I'm not hoping that it's going to be like, you know, the Attitude Era, you know, in 99, 2000, when you had, you know, 5, 6, maybe even 8 tag teams in a tag team division, and, you know, you were having 2 tag teams on each or 2 tag team matches on each pay-per-view. But, you know, this is the start of really getting something going. And when the Von Erichs wrestle, they're not going to get the same response as they get in Texas, as they get in Idaho or Oklahoma or anywhere else. But, you know, definitely you have them debut in Texas, you make them look like they are a big deal, it's going to spread, and it's going to get to other places. You know, so many people have gotten signed and become big stars because they're second generation wrestlers. A lot of people like, you know, Randy Orton pick it up and they're just awesome. And there's some guys that become good wrestlers that just can't get over, like Curtis Axel, or maybe a girl like Tamina, who, you know, she's out with an injury right now, but even if she wasn't, she probably wouldn't be, you know, breaking records and being a big draw in the Divas division. But, you know, she's a good wrestler. They just haven't figured out what to do with her yet. But it just seems so easy to me. The Von Erichs, you know, they have wrestling inside of their blood. You know, put these guys on the roster, have them as a tag team. You know, you can easily use them as sort of like a legacy, sort of a deal. And it's going to make sense. These guys deserve a shot, and I think it's going to make out, and it's going to be good in the future. Hopefully, I can wish these guys well in their, you know, Performance Center tryout, and hopefully these guys will be a part of the NXT roster soon.